Hello everyone, this is a teaser video for this coming Sunday, November 2nd. This is also daylight savings time, so you want to make sure you turn your clock back on Saturday night before you go to bed, so you get to church on time and you don't come into the wrong service or anything like that. So yeah, it is daylight savings time. But on this service or this message for this Sunday, November 2nd, what I want you to do is I want you to read Acts chapter 6, verses 1 through 7. Acts chapter 6, verses 1 through 7. Now, I've kind of talked a little bit about this passage on one of our congregational meetings. I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago. It's probably when I was also talking about different types of pastors. And I showed how Scripture listed 5 different types of pastors. Now, this isn't that. This is the verses talking about the bread distribution in Acts chapter 6, verses 1 through 7. The congregation, the people come to the disciples, and they're talking about an issue with food distribution. But what I really want you to do is read this passage, and I'm interested in what you get out of this as the point or the messages that are coming from this interaction. Acts is when the church is growing at its fastest. A lot of times people are trying to talk about trying to get back to being the church in Acts, where they were successfully reaching people for Jesus, and they were growing, and the church was very active and very vibrant and having a big impact on their communities and an impact on the kingdom because people were coming to know Jesus. So if we're trying to become a Acts-based church or a church like Acts, not Acts as in doing deeds, but Acts in the book of Acts, then we need to understand, if you read chapter 6, verses 1 through 7, what do you see as the theme, or what are you getting out of that passage? Again, depending on where we are in our journey, depending where we are in our life and what we may be going through, we might actually get different things out of these verses in chapter 6 of Acts. So I'm really curious to see what everybody else gets out of it. Obviously, you'll hear what I'm going to get out of it when I preach the message. And I talked about it at the congregational meeting a year or two back about what we're looking for. So I'm interested because I know in my Sunday school class, different people everybody gets something different out of the passage, which really excites me because that's telling me everybody's reading it. But it also helps us all grow, because sometimes people share things and I'm like, oh man, I didn't even see that. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. So that's your challenge. Read chapter 6 of Acts, verses 1 through 7, and see what you are getting out of this bread distribution issue that's going on in the church and is brought to the disciples. And what do you take that as, how the church is supposed to handle things? How will the church grow? Because it talks about, as you keep reading this, that everyone agreed and the church continued to thrive. And everybody wants to have a thriving church. So I guess to have a thriving church, we need to start resembling how the church was in its most vibrant time in the book as we see it in Acts. So I look forward to seeing everybody. Until then, remember, turn your clock back, take care, and be safe.